I need help. Please. I've always had a strange phobia. Entamophobia. Yes, I have an irrational fear of open doors. Not only open doors, but open doors in darkness. To clarify, if the room is dark and the door leading out of said room is also dark, it makes me uncomfortable, to say the least. It gives me a fight or flight response. Yeah, I never knew why until yesterday. I live alone in my apartment in Ocréchatte, Louisiana. I had gone to the grocery store and purchased a frozen pizza, maybe a box or two of beignets. I really had nothing better to do, as I didn't have a girlfriend, and I just got off work at the local coffee shop that most likely sells sewage than cups of caffeine. So I was sitting on my couch, eating a slice of pizza, when I heard the door beside me creak. I turned sharply and saw that the door to the bedroom was indeed ajar. I thought I had closed it and didn't think much of it. I just got up and closed it again, this time waiting for the latch to click. I returned to my couch, picking up my slice of pizza and prepared to take another bite, when I heard the doorknob jiggle. I whipped around to see my doorknob turning and rattling. As I said, I live alone. I don't have a girlfriend or a cat or dog, so I was extremely disturbed as to why the doorknob to my bedroom was moving. My mind immediately jumped to the thought that there was an intruder in my apartment and that I should call the cops. I jumped towards the telephone and dialed 911 and told the operator that there was an intruder in my apartment. All the while, I was speeding toward the door that led outside and into the hallway. Just as I exited the apartment, I could have sworn I heard the door to the bedroom opening and something walking out. After 10 or 15 minutes, the police finally arrived. They inspected the apartment and said there was no sign of a break-in, and the CCTV in the hallway didn't show anyone entering my apartment except for me. I didn't bother considering sleeping there and decided to stay at a friend's house that night. My friend understood my worry and said that I could sleep in the guest bedroom. I stayed for about 4 days before things got weird. I was sleeping when I was awoken by the sound of dishes being moved out in the kitchen. I got up thinking that my friend was getting a midnight snack. For context, the time was 2:43 in the morning, aka butt crack o'clock. I walked out into the hallway and looked out into the kitchen and saw something that still chills me to the bone. My friend was staring into his pantry with his back turned to me. What was stranger was the fact that he was standing on his toes, and his whole body was twitching. His hands were clenching and releasing. He walked into his unlit pantry, and the door closed behind him. Now, to be clear, the pantry door opens outward, and it closed without anybody touching the knob. I quickly walked towards the kitchen, flipped on the lights, and opened the pantry door and turned on the light inside. I expected to see my friend standing in the pantry, but I couldn't find anything. My friend wasn't there. Now, I poked my head in, but didn't go fully into the pantry. I wasn't stupid enough to walk into the spot I just saw someone vanish into moments ago. At that moment, the bulb above me flickered. I looked up just that instant, and the bulb glitched and died. I looked down and saw a pale, lifeless face staring back at me. I screamed and jolted back. I tripped on my feet and I scrabbled backwards. I shot up and ran to my friend's bedroom and tried to open the door, only to find it locked. I pounded on the door, hoping my friend's wife would hear me. I turned around and saw the thing in the pantry slowly crawling towards me on long, spindly arms and legs. All I could do was just stand there as the thing crossed the floor and slowly made its way to my position. My first instinct was to just sit there and wait to die, but I glanced over at the table beside the bedroom door, grabbed the potted plant that sat on a doily, and chucked the object at the creature. It flinched and retracted slightly. Suddenly, the bedroom door opened and I fell through and landed on the carpeted floor. Standing over me was my friend and his wife, looking down at me with worried expressions. Needless to say, I flipped out. My friend was evidently in bed the whole time and didn't recall getting up to grab a snack at all. Neither he nor his wife were insomniacs. My friends put forth the possibility that I could have had a nightmare. I didn't put much credence into this theory at all. We stayed up most of the night talking about the experience that made me stay at their house. My friend's wife wasn't exactly very happy that I smashed one of her potted plants, and I will admit I felt remorseful about it afterward. It was just the closest thing that I could grab. About 2 days went by before I felt safe enough to return to my apartment. I entered and did a thorough search, and I stayed up until about 1 in the morning before I fell asleep on the couch. I woke up to a strange sound. It was a dripping sound. It sounded like it was coming from my bathroom. I turned around and saw that the door leading to my bathroom was fully open, and the lights were off, so I couldn't see anything but pitch black beyond the doorframe. My body tensed as I stared at the open bathroom with eyes as wide as dinner plates. My breathing became erratic as I stared into the darkness. I slowly got up and tried to make my way to the door that led out of my apartment. The reason for this behavior was because I distinctly remember closing that door. I almost made it when suddenly something grabbed my ankle. I fell on my ass and hit my head on the floor and was left staring at the ceiling. My vision was spinning and I found it difficult to focus. I put my hand to my head and tried to get back up, only to see the face of the thing I saw at my friend's house. It stared at me with large, dead fish eyes. I lay there petrified. As I stared up at that face, trying not to scream, I felt helpless. And in that moment, memories came flooding back to me. Entamophobia. The fear of open doors. I remembered. I was 3 when it happened. I was laying in my crib when the door to my room opened. I sat up and saw that it was pitch black outside. And in that darkness stood that thing. It stood in the doorway, staring at me with its large, dead eyes. It put its hand to its lipless mouth and licked its finger with a gray, swollen tongue. It whispered to me in a low-pitched voice.
You know what they say about gazing into the darkness.
I sat there in my apartment with this thing leaning over me. Its face came closer to my face, and it licked me with its long, gray tongue. It looked like it savored taste and sighed with what seemed like ecstasy. It leaned down to face me once again and whispered in its low-pitched voice. It sounded like it was laced with guttural breathing. And then it licked my ear. I just lay there and watched the creature slink back into the dark bathroom and the door closed behind it. I just sat there, sobbing and not daring to move an inch. 3 hours passed before I felt safe enough to move. I stumbled out of my apartment feeling drained and exhausted. I walked out of the building and sat down on one of the benches and I just sat there. I don't know why this thing has targeted me. It seems like it's been following me for years, but why appear now? Nothing in my life has changed, so why now? I need help. I need to know what this thing is. I don't know why it decided to appear to me the night I was at my friend's house. I know what it was trying to do. It tried to imitate my friend, so it could convince me into going into the pantry, so it could take me to whatever shadow dimension it resides. And when that didn't work, it came to my house, and it tripped me, and told me something that scared me even more than its appearance. I still remember it vividly. It slinked closer to my ear, and I could hear its disgusting lips part as it spoke into my ear.
Something's coming, and I'm scared. Can't I stay with you?
Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Freaky Feline Productions and listening to this latest narration. I'm going to have to put out a stop motion fairly soon, so that way we can have a little bit of diversity, but other than that, I hope you enjoyed it. To express your satisfaction, be sure to leave a like and comment what you liked about it. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for future notifications. I hope to see you all in the next video, but until then, stay safe out there.